Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. My name is Nathan, up here in the booth along with Christian. Christian, how are you tonight?
I'm all right. I'm excited for this Indy racing. One of the most historic racetracks that these Holio cars come to. So excited to see what this racing is going to be like for us.
That's right. It's first time here for the series, obviously, in our inaugural season, but looking forward to seeing what we get out of this race. It looks like we got 8 cars with us tonight, and we got some cars on track for qualifying, so let's take a look and see who's out there on track.
As you see Don Manning right there making his laps around Indy right here. Let's see if he can get some good stuff. Had a pretty solid run last week here in these Holio cars. Hopefully he can back up that solid finish last week with a good finish here.
He sure did, as it looks like he's going into turns 3 and 4 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a 2.5 mile 4-corner oval with honestly 4 different corners, all connected by the 2 corners at each end connected by a short straightaway in between. So definitely a little bit of a different layout than any other oval that we race on for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's really important to kind of link all these corners together seamlessly. If you mess up one corner, especially out of turn 3 and out of turn 4 and out of turn 2, these streets are so long that you'll lose so much momentum and so much time.
That's right, and as we see, it looks like Don's boarding on his second lap, so happy with his first lap, I guess, and looks like Sean Purcell is on a quick one his second time around. His first lap was a 53.66, which is on top of the board right now with his Kyle, his brother, behind him with a 53.75 after his 2 laps. Larry Garnes is just completing his second lap, and he will have a 53.97 as his best time. But Sean Purcell and Dave Hara and Robbie Fletcher are out on the track currently, with Sean Purcell holding the point but getting really loose out of turn 4 and having to abort that run. Let's see how Dave Hara is making out as he heads down the back straightaway.
Yeah, as you can see, these drivers are trying to be as aggressive as they can with these qualifying laps, Qualifying and these cars is super crucial just because of like how much the tire wear is, especially at like an abrasive track like Indy is, and how easy it is that you kind of get caught up behind people and then wearing out your tires, trying to get past people. So starting up front is definitely a lot easier if you can get a good qualifying lap in.
That's for sure, and it looks like everyone has pretty much wrapped up qualifying. We still have about 30 seconds to go before we grid up the cars, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to grab a quick commercial here before we line up the cars, and we'll be right back after this.
Back to more racing action right after this. With over 25 years experience, Lucky Dog Detailing offers the best of the best in vehicle reconditioning, fully licensed and insured. Their number one goal is customer satisfaction and developing a friendship with each job. Call them at 704-401-6075 or visit them on the web at luckydogdetailing.com. Lucky Dog Detailing, the best of the best in vehicle reconditioning. This race brought to you in part by Blue Gray Plastic Fabrication, repair, design, and fabrication of plastic holding tanks and plastic form products. With over 50 years of combined experience working in plastic fabrication, Blue Gray has achieved a reputation of one of the foremost custom fabrication leaders in the industry. Find them on the web at bluegrayplasticfab.com or call 704-226-7024 and get a quote for your next project. That's Blue Gray Plastic Fabrication. Now back to trackside action with the ORR Lawn Care Truck Racing Series of the All-American Racing League.
Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we get set for the running of the Indy Grand Prix 175, 70 laps around the 2.5 mile Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And why don't you take us through the starting lineup here for tonight's event, Christian?
Alrighty. Starting on the pole right here is going to be Sean Purcell. Starting second will be his brother Kyle. Starting third will be David Hara. Starting in P4 will be Don Manning. Larry Garnes will round out your top 5. Starting 6 will be David Lofano. P7 will be Tyrone Young. And rounding out the rest of your field, it will be Robbie Fletcher in that number 71 car.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Christian. As like I mentioned, 70 laps here around the 2.5 mile track, with the Purcell brothers on the front row, who, if correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's their birthday today, as they are both born on the same day, being twins. So happy birthday to them, as they get to lead us to the green flag here for 70 laps around Indy.
And definitely happy birthday to the two Purcell brothers. Hopefully they can get the victory lane and give themselves a good birthday present for themselves.
I guess one thing we should touch on before we get going is the fact that this is race 1 in the playoffs for the Holio Cornhole board series here. So the points have been reset, and everyone in the race except for Robbie Fletcher is right up tight again with at the top of the standings. Obviously, a few bonus points awarded to each driver who who won a race this year. So the Purcells did a good job cleaning up on the bonus points for wins. But Don Manning has one also, so he's not too far back. But yeah, we'll get set to go here as we come around, entering turn 3 for the last time under caution, and hopefully we'll get the green flag this time out of turn 4.
Yeah, that's the goal.
As they make their way out of turn number 4, the pace car will head down to the safety of pit road as we look for the green flag here for the Indy Grand Prix 175. And on the original start, it's on the flagman, so everyone has to kind of go slow until the green flag waves. And there we go. We are racing from Indy down into turn number 1. Through turn 1, it looks like Sean Purcell has the advantage on the bottom over his brother Kyle. As they head through turn number 2 and out the backside onto the long back straightaway here from Indianapolis. And it's still Sean, Kyle, and David Hara in this third as they head off into turn number 3 for the first time.
You can really see out of that turn 2 how these cars will drive side by side. Saw that outside just has a little bit more of a momentum, but Sean just had a little bit of enough of a gap to kind of stay in front of Kyle. As you see Hara looking on the inside of Kyle for a second.
Definitely looking to make a move down the inside on lap number 1, but tucks back in line to use a little bit of the draft to maybe get a move on him going into 1. But for now, they stay single file nose to tail off into turn number 1. It's Sean Purcell, Kyle Purcell, Dave Hara, Don Manning in 4th, and David Lerfano in the 5th spot. But back up front, down the back straightaway, it's Sean Purcell leading the way.
You see Kyle just kind of lurking as Sean's waiting on Sean to kind of make a mistake right now, you know? I think right now that you can see Hara and Kyle right there. You're just kind of sitting there behind there, just riding behind Sean right now. I think they're content with, just riding behind there, and they're going to try to save some tire right now.
Yeah, definitely a longer race. Obviously about 175 miles, which is the distance that we usually run. But just with the 2.5 mile laps, it makes for a longer lap and a longer lap time. But these guys are settling in as we try to click off some laps here in the early going.
Yeah, definitely. You see Sean's kind of running about a half a lane higher than his brother and David Hara are. And I wonder, if maybe that's a faster line or if he's maybe using the tires up just a little too much. You see Hara being really shallow into the corners, and Kyle kind of arcing the corner, but Sean's just kind of keeping it about half a lane off that white line right now.
Definitely 3 different lines for sure by the first 3 cars out there, all running fairly similar lap times last time by. It was Kyle with the fastest lap, but this time we'll reset the lap times and see what we have. So Sean Purcell with a 54 flat, his brother Kyle with a 54.14 and 54.22 for David Hara. So still similar lap times as they work on lap number 4 here as they head down the back straightaway.
And you see these top 3 kind of drafted their way around the rest of the field. You see Don Manning in 4th, a little under 2 seconds behind, with looks like Lerfano and Larry Garnes and Tyrone Joe, and Don and Larry are going to try to save tires. So not surprised to see them, not up here battling. They're going to try to save those tires the best they can, and going to make a charge maybe towards the end of this run.
That's very true, and obviously not too big of a gap yet developing. The leader is only about 3.5 seconds out in front of the 7th place car, so still pretty tight field for only having 8 cars in the race tonight. But just kind of clicking off laps, I think, as they try to get some laps under their belts to see what they got and try to, like you said, save some tires for the long run.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the main mindset for, I would say like fourth on back. You see Harris kind of lost a little bit off of these brothers. Kind of fell back a little bit. You see Kyle kind of within that 4/10 of a second range the whole time, kind of just trying to stay connected with Sean. But Hare almost a second behind now. Probably kind of got disconnected, and with the draft and these things, once you lose that little bit of draft, it's so hard to like keep that momentum up and stay up with the guys in front of you.
That's for sure. It's all about momentum, I think, and not losing it and trying to stay as close to that car in front of you while not, I guess, running over them. So they still continue to run single file here around the 2.5 mile speedway as not much really going on, but let's go a little bit further back as we take a look at maybe a small battle between Don and Dave Lafano for 4th and 5th right now on the track.
Yeah, you see Lofano kind of running a different line. He's getting a way better exit than Don is right now. I'm trying to find a way around him. Like we said before, Don's one of the guys that are going to try to save the tires on the long run better. And I think, he's kind of paced himself for where he wants to be. And I think just Dave is trying to get around him at this time.
Yeah, it looks like they had a bit of contract on entry to 1. I think Don slowed up a little sooner than Dave thought, and he got into the back bumper. But no harm, no foul as everyone continues on their way down the back straightaway here on lap number 7. And let's take a look back up front as it's the 04 Pepsi Ford still leading the way with the 16 band-made Toyota and the 15 blue-gray plastics number 15 Camaro of Dave Hara in 3rd. Another Ford in 4th with Don Manning. Dave Lorfano driving the Toyota in the Xfinity Series. Larry Garnes in the 20 Chevrolet. Then we have Tyrone Yo in another Ford. And rounding out the field, Rob Fletcher in the number 71 Chevrolet.
And I don't know if Hera was listening to the broadcast, but since we talked about him kind of falling off, he picked up the pace and he's caught back up to Kyle. And I think he's it's actually pushed Kyle to maybe go a little bit faster than he wants to, because they're all the top three are all within half a second of each other again. So looks like Harry, is a little bit more aggressive on entry, and has really caught back up to these two.
For sure, definitely can see he's closed the gap visually. I think catching them and passing them is definitely going to be two different things, right? They always say catching them is one thing, and making that move to get by them is definitely challenging also. But hopefully we can see some good action here later on in the race as we start to work lap number 9 back into turn 1 with Sean Purcell still leading the way. I ran a few laps earlier in I think with the 80% fuel load that these guys run in, and I think it was the fuel window looked to be about 22, anywhere from 22 to 24 laps, 25 laps maybe, if you're going hard all the time. So it'll be interesting to see how they take that and split it up. Easiest way, I guess, if it's 25 laps approximately, you look at two sets and then have a shorter set at the end. But I guess we'll find out. It looks like the battle for first place is heating up front.
Yeah, I think Sean took one of those corners a little bit upset, and upset those early tires, because he seems a little tight right now, and almost got passed by Kyle last lap in the turn 1. Just he had to get way out of the gas to get that car to stay off the wall, and it looks like Kyle just has the better car right now.
Definitely looks to be faster, as we can see. Not much faster, but the green indicates that the last couple of laps he has been faster than his brother. So we'll see if he can use that to his advantage as we work a little bit later on into the run, and maybe pushing his brother a little faster than maybe Sean wants to go out front. But we'll see, as it looks like further back in the pack, Dave Lafano was able to get around Don Manning and get up into fourth spot. Now we'll see if he can use that position to run down the top three.
Yeah, I know. I think David Hare right now, just being smart, he's just sitting right there in third, not trying to be too aggressive, trying to get these spots. Because Kyle and Sean are going to race each other really hard. I mean, you've seen it already in the Lawn Care Truck Series. They've gotten into it and cost each other a win last week at Homestead due to that. So I think, Hillbilly right here is just sitting back there and will pounce when he thinks is a good time.
Definitely, you see these brothers go at it tooth and nail every week in all three series now, as they've all joined. They've both joined up into the Cup Series and our Truck Series regulars. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you came out on the winning end of that Purcell brother battle there last week at Homestead.
Yeah, so I was the guy with the golden ticket at the end. They were racing super hard and made contact on that last lap, and I was able to squeak by him. So,
hey, it's not how you do it. It's all about getting there first, right? That matters in the stat book.
Sure.
As looks like Kyle was able to get around his brother, but Sean got back around him. But Kyle uses the inside lane out of turn 2 and gets up in front of him as they head down the back straightaway, and we have ourselves a new leader heading in to turn number 3.
Yeah, I think Sean was trying to fight as hard as he could to keep him behind him. But like I said before, I think Sean used up those fronts a little too much, trying to stay out in front. And that car just looks a little tight on exit and can't get back into that gas as much as his brother is. And Kyle just has the better car right now. But you can see Lorfano, he's slowly starting to catch these front three. He's got it down to a little over a second now behind the leader right here. So looks like he's trying to get back up here to give these guys a run for their money.
That's for sure. And one thing I know is that Lorfano is a big fan of the more flatter style racetracks and using the momentum of the car to get it done. And I know that he enjoys these type of racetracks. So we'll look for him to hopefully come back and catch these guys and give them a run for their money here. Like you said, he's right back up to only about under a second off the lead now as they are still battling up front. But this time it's Kyle Purcell over his brother Sean, Dave Hara in third. Dave Lorfano is in fourth.
As you can see here, trying to look at Sean real quick. You see Kyle just starting to slowly pull ahead. I talked to Sean a little bit before the race, and he said this is probably one of his least favorite tracks to run. He doesn't have a lot of experience here. So I think for Sean right now, he's just trying to learn how this car runs here, how to save tires, like how hard he can push his stuff. So maybe when they go down and do green flag pit stops, he can approach this race a little bit differently.
Yeah, just getting a feel for the track in the first stint, obviously with only a handful of cars here at the event. It makes it a little easier to kind of try different grooves and see what your car can do. But as we say that, looks like both Hara and Lorfano are going to try to get by the 0-4 as they come out of turn 4. Hara gets it done, and Lorfano will have to check back up and get back in line as they head down the front straightaway. I guess now we'll see if Dave Hara can run down the 16 of Kyle Purcell, and maybe the 04 has been holding these guys up a little bit. Once Kyle got by him, as you mentioned, he kind of pulled away, and Dave looks like he's kind of doing the same thing, trying to run back down Kyle. So maybe the 04 was holding these guys up in the middle part of this sector of the race, but we'll see what happens now here. Hara has gotten clear of the 04, and it looks like Dave is trying to do the same into turn number 3.
As you see, Lorfano right there getting side by side. I think Sean's just gonna give it to him. Maybe. In my opinion, it's not really worth fighting if you don't have the car, especially on the outside. You're gonna burn up those grooves so much easier. Trying to get in the gas earlier here, there's not a lot of wiggle room to kind of save tires, but also defend at the same time. So, but once again, I'd also talked to the driver before the race, and they said about 22, 23 laps was around the fuel, was as much as they could go on fuel. So, I mean, we're under 10 to go before we get some green flag pit stops.
That's for sure, as we're working on lap number 16, 15 in the books, and Lofano finally gets the pass made, as you can see, going down the back straightaway, but Sean is right there on his back bumper. As we switch back up front, it looks like Dave and now Kyle are going to go at it here for what will be the lead of this race as they work through the short chute between turn 3 and 4, down into turn 4, and off into the front stretch. And as you can see now, it looks like Kyle is trying to work that sort of half a lane off the bottom, and Dave is still trying to get that bottom lane to work through 3 and 4. But down the front straightaway, Kyle Purcell leads the way over Dave Hara, David Lofano, Sean Purcell, Don Manning, Larry Garnes, Robbie Fletcher, and Tyrone Yo round out our 8-car field.
Yeah, I definitely think Hillbilly's in the best spot right now, because I have a feeling that, he has a little bit fresher tires, because you saw, Kyle, probably pushing his car a little bit harder than he wanted to get past Sean the first time. And kind of, Hillbilly just kind of sat back there and let Kyle do all the dirty work, and then kind of got past Sean pretty easily. As you see, I mean, he's there. If Kyle makes a mistake, he can easily pounce and take this lead from him.
That's it. I think it's all about opportunity, right? And if someone makes a mistake, look for the car behind him to capitalize, as everyone's getting a bit squirrely off of turn 4. But here in this camera shot, as they come down the front straightaway, you see the top 5 still are all within arm's length of each other, with Don Manning at 2.5 seconds back is the furthest away. But as they complete lap 17, it looks like of the top 3 cars, Lofano was 0.3 of a second quicker than Purcell, and 0.2 faster than Hare. So both these guys are quicker than the leader. It might be a little bit of the drafting effect, helping them pull their cars a little quicker, with Kyle leading the way and a little bit slower. But time will tell as we work lap 18 and getting ever so closer to pit stops for that important first stop of the race.
Yeah, it's very interesting seeing these different lines that Kyle and David Hara, I mean, you see Hara kind of sends it in really shallow and you kind of stick it down there, while Kyle, it looks like Kyle's going to go down the pits. Kyle kind of takes a little bit more of a wider entry and arcs it down and then gets a decent run off.
So it looks like both Purcell brothers have jumped to the pits here on lap number 18, completion of lap 18, start of lap number 19, so they will get their first set of new tires as well as a full tank of Sunoco race fuel to get them back out there on the track. I think this is one of the more trickier pit roads to get on. You're already coming out of 4 at a pretty good high speed, and then you have to turn to the left to get on pit road, but the pit road timing line is very quick and comes on you fast if you're not paying attention, and that could lead to some very easy speeding penalties for some of these guys potentially.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. This pit road, like you said before, one of the most difficult ones, and speeding is a big problem. Just trying to get these big, heavy stock cars to get down to that pit road speed.
So it looks like. Sorry, go ahead, Christian.
I honestly feel like the two Purcell brothers short pitting these guys were probably the best thing for them, because I honestly feel like they wore their tires out the most, battling for that lead. And then you saw Sean get past and drop down the 4th, and then you saw Hara and Lofano kind of riding on Kyle's rear end, just waiting on him to make a mistake. So I think short pitting, getting those fresh tires early, was probably the best thing for them, because now they can kind of run on their own, save tires on their own, and not have to worry about battling.
That's for sure, and it looks like they got out probably about a quarter of a straightaway in front of these guys, and as we say that, looks like Dave Hara is jumping down pit road as he locks it up to make sure he gets down under the speed limit like we talked about. A very tough pit entry, and that leaves Dave Lofano in front of the field now, as he's yet to pit, but he will do at least one more lap, as we are working on lap number 20 here in this 175-mile, 70-lap affair.
And that gives second place to Don Manning, which is a little over 2 seconds behind Lofano right here. I'm interested because, like we said before, Larry Garnes and Don Manning are kind of known for their tire saving, but the fuel runs are so short here because, Indy's such a big track. I really can't see, like hardcore tire saving really being an advantage as you see Lofano going down pit road right now.
That's it. Lofano jumps down the pit road. He gets on the binders hard to make sure he can get the car slowed down in time. But it looks like Don Manning is going to stay out and do at least one more, and so is Larry Garnes as he heads down the front straightaway. So you said about 22 laps was how far they could be stretching the fuel. So looks like that's where we are so far. So maybe we'll see these guys come in. Like you said, both these guys very good at saving fuel. So we'll see how far they want to go and take it. Trying to, I guess, make sure that they don't have to pit an extra time, right? With pitting at 18, it's pretty early, and with 70 laps, it makes the math a little tough to get the number of pit stops you need.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like this should give Kyle Purcell the lead once everybody gets some of those pit stops. Looks like Kyle and then Sean, and then a little ways behind just because of the short pitting is going to be Lofano and Hera, which are pretty close to each other right now.
Yeah, if we take a look, so Don is just exiting turn number 2. Larry's entering turn 1. Robbie, who still hasn't pitted, is coming down the front straightaway, and he is entering turn number 1 now. And Kyle Purcell, who will be the leader once the pit stop cycle through, is just crossing the start-finish line. So he's about 3/4 of a lap behind Don right now. But again, Don has to make a pit stop eventually. We're not sure when that'll be, but figuring within the next maybe 1 to 2 to 3 laps. And as I say that, he gets it on the binders and brings it down onto pit road to get his 4 fresh tires and a full tank of fuel. It looks like Larry's going to join him in the back of the screen, so it looks like the 2 leaders are on the pit road, so maybe 23 is the magic number for number of laps they can get on a tank of gas. The only one left to pit is Robbie Fletcher, and I think he might have missed pit road, I'm going to be honest. It looked like he was coming in and didn't get it wound down in time, but he's going to have to stay out there another lap. Hopefully he has enough fuel to make it around. I guess we'll find out here. But right now he's the leader for the time being over the 16 of Kyle Purcell, and then Sean Purcell in the 04, and then David Hera and David Lofano will cycle into the at this time 4th and 5th, but what should be 3rd and 4th place once the 71 car pits.
I was watching Don Manning as he entered the pits right there, and he had quite a bit of rear end damage. So I don't know if that was all from Lofano when Lofano was trying to get past him, or if maybe he got into a scuffle with someone else. But it looks like he got a lot of that damage fixed. But when he entered the pits, quite a bit of rear end damage on that Ford Mustang.
Yeah, I think Dave got into him pretty good. Obviously, Don got on the brakes a little sooner than Dave thought, which wasn't beneficial for either of them. But I don't think it hurt Dave too much because he was still putting down some good lap times there late in that run. So not too much damage for him, but it's good that Don was able to get that fixed up, and he's back underway. About 19 seconds behind the leader at this point, but I think that's just because he waited so long to pit, and the fresher tires on the 16 and the 04 were really making up ground while he was kind of going a little slower with the older tires.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Indy is one of the notorious for tearing up tires pretty easily, and with how big it is, you can't go very long without having to, come down and get some more fuel. So like I said, staying out longer, I don't know if that's going to be an advantage in this style of race, but can't really call that until maybe closer to the end.
That's for sure, and I think it makes it a little tougher to kind of have that kind of strategy when the series so far year to date has had very minimal cautions, right? It's one thing if you stay out and you get that caution in a race that has or in a series that maybe has a little more cars on the track, which leads to a little bit more carnage. But with so few cautions every week, it's tough to rely on them to build that into your strategy.
I definitely agree with you there. You know, if like you said before, if we had a couple more cars, or I mean, even if we didn't have a couple more cars, maybe if we had cautions in this series, that could definitely spice up the strategy. Because like you said before, staying out longer, potentially you could put on a shorter track some of those faster guys 1-2 laps down and force them to potentially take the wave around and all that stuff, and just give yourself extra track position. Because if you're the leader and you lap up to like third through green flag pit stops, they still have to go through and take that wave around and start at the back while you can pit and keep that track position.
Yeah, it definitely affects the strategy in the long run, but I guess for the driver's sake, maybe they're happy that they don't have cautions. For us in the broadcast booth, maybe it would be better with a few extra cautions, but the racing, I feel, has been pretty good all year. Some close battles and some good finishes, right? We've had some good fuel mileage races even without cautions being decided on usually the last 10, 15 laps, right? Someone makes a mistake and gets into the wall, or someone just runs out of fuel, like unfortunately Don did there a handful of races ago coming to the checkered. But we'll see how this one plays out. We're completing lap number 28 of 70, and I think if it's all right with you, Christian, we're going to take another quick commercial break.
Sounds good to me.
Back to more racing action right after this. This race sponsored in part by Graham Collision, professional automotive collision repair specialist. Visit either of their Iowa locations in Waukee and Urbandale for your collision repair and vehicle body work. Like them on Facebook or visit grahamcollision.com. Graham Collision, unparalleled support, unbeatable assistance. For the best selection of quarter midget parts online, look no further than FMI Racing. FMI Racing, helping racing enthusiasts everywhere achieve new levels of performance and quality in their vehicles with parts and gear. Give them a call at 770-720-1003 or visit fmiracing.com. 2092 Harmony Drive, Canton, Georgia. FMI Racing. Now back to trackside action with the ORR Lawn Care Truck Racing Series of the All-American Racing League.
Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Indy Grand Prix 175 for the Holio Cornhole Board Series and part of the All-American Racing League family. As we are working lap number 30, as we see the number 16 car of Kyle Purcell still leads the way over 2 seconds over his brother Sean. And in third place, we have the 15 of David Hara, who's about 2 seconds behind Sean. And then David Lurfano is in fourth. He's about a second behind the other Dave. And Don Manning is about 9 seconds behind the closest competitor in front of him, Dave Lurfano, in fifth. So thanks for joining us here. And Christian, we've had some pretty good racing here in the early going. We had some good battles earlier in the race as drivers were kind of feeling their equipment out, seeing how far they could go and how far they could push it, and what was the best way to save tires while still being fast and maintaining the lead. As we saw the 0-4 of Sean Purcell lead early, and then he got passed by his brother Kyle, who led for a bit, and then those two pitted earlier than the rest on a couple laps early on lap 18, which turned lead over to Dave Hare and Dave Lorfano, who each led a couple laps here, which I think is will be important in this series as we make our way through the playoffs, as it's 5 bonus points for leading a lap. So lots of points on the line, bonus points wise, and everyone wants to capitalize and get as many points as they can each event.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's just staying out that extra lap, even though you might lose a little bit of time to those green flag pit stops. I mean, it's definitely worth those extra 5 bonus points, because points are hard to get in this series, and really in any series in this AARL league. So definitely staying out like a lap or two to get those bonus points is definitely a smart idea. As we see right now for Kyle Purcell, out here to about a 2.5 second lead. I think Hare and Lorfano will slowly catch him. You see Hare and Lorfano already a little under a second behind Kyle's brother Sean, and I think won't have too much of a hard time getting around them, just with how much the tire fall off is here.
Yeah, if we take a quick look here at the lap times the last few times by, about 4 or 5 laps ago, they were over, at least Hare was over a half second quicker than leader Kyle Purcell, and it's that last lap it was down to a quarter of a second. But they're definitely, the 2 or 3 laps that they pitted after them is definitely helping with the speed at late in the run. So I guess this is kind of where we'll see who can flex their muscle, and whether the late pit strategy is the right call or the early pit strategy, right? The undercut is seems to have worked at the beginning, but it looks like it's coming back around to be in favor of the guys who maybe waited a little bit longer to pit. And on top of that, Don Manning and Larry Garnes waited even longer, a few extra laps, lap 23. But they're pretty far back right now from the leader. They're about 11 seconds for Don and 33 seconds for Larry off the leader. So lots of ground to make up, but they definitely have the tires to potentially do it later in the run. But right now we have a battle for second between Sean and David Hare, again, going at it down the back straightaway.
Yeah, you just see how much these tires mean, and like for Sean, it just looks like that car isn't set up the way he initially liked it. It just looks like he can't get into the gas. He can't get into the corner as well as some of these other guys, especially on these older tires. Like you see Hare getting past them, and I for sure see Lorfano pouncing on them pretty quickly. It just looks like he just can't. He doesn't have the balance to get into the corner well and also get out of the corner well.
Yeah, you definitely can see him getting a little tight, and he pushes up in the middle and just has a hard time holding that maybe that bottom or half groove off, which is where everyone seems to be running when they're making the passes. So he's kind of leaving the door open just because that's what his car's forcing him to do, and these guys are taking advantage of it and making the passes. They're not making them easily, but they're definitely getting by him at the end of it, as both passes have come into turn 3. So Sean is obviously struggling a little bit with the handle on his car, but hopefully he can change his line or maybe his entry and exit points, and then see if he can get back up front. And it looks like Kyle Purcell is actually on pit road.
Yeah, I think you saw David Hare and Lorfano catching him pretty quick, and I think he's trying to negate that lost time that he would potentially get trying to stay out longer. So I think Kyle saw that Hare was going to get him in the next lap or two. I mean, these two are just so much faster with these newer tires that I think Kyle was just trying to negate the amount of time he's going to lose. So he decided to pit right now.
Which is roughly the same time he pitted, right? He pitted on about lap 18, so coming in at 36, he's doubled it up and doubled down on his pit strategy. So that's interesting, and we'll see how that plays out. Like you said, Hare was definitely catching him, quicker than Kyle wanted, and then instead of getting too far behind the 8 ball, he came down pit road. And as we say that, the third place car of Sean Purcell is on pit road for his second stop of the race. Again, right around the same stint length that he ran the first time, 19 laps approximately.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, to see that. I think I don't know how many tires they have, but running it out that shorter, like potentially 5 laps shorter, that those 5 laps are going to add up, and I don't really know how that's going to work the best out for them. I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
They have, just to answer that question, they have 3 additional sets. So they had the set they started on plus 3 more. And as we say that, the other 2 are hard on the brakes and down pit road. So it looks like everyone's trying to make us an earlier stop here, the second stint, to see if they can not lose as much ground off the hop and still have a little bit of extra tire left at the end of it.
Yeah, I'm definitely surprised to see O'Hara and Lafano jump on the bandwagon as the Purcells came down. Like I said before, I think the 2 Purcell brothers going down right then kind of forced these two's hands, because they stayed out for much longer. That undercut would really give up a lot of time to the 2 Purcells.
Yeah, they saw the disadvantage they were at, I guess you could say, after the first pit stop, staying out a little longer. But so they'll try something different. Can't keep doing the same thing and inspecting different results. But as of right now, Kyle has gotten by them as Dave Hara gets back up to speed, and it looks like Sean's going to get him, but it's not going to be by much. As Dave has to use the access road through 1 and 2 to safely merge on the back straightaway. So Sean does get back by him, but I don't think it's by half or nearly as much as it was the first time they made these pit stops. So Don Manning in the 92 and Larry Garnes in the 20, the 2 cars that pitted the latest, are still out there on their older tires. They pitted on lap 23 respectively, but not far behind them is Kyle Purcell, and his brother Sean are stalking them down. So lots of different pit strategies, changing the way this event is going to play out. Obviously, we'll see here over the next coming laps when Don and Larry pit, and that'll kind of wrap up cycle number 2 in this race, and then we'll reset the field for you and see how long the next set of stops comes at.
Yeah, I'm definitely surprised that Don is willing to stay out as much, because Indy is such a big track that even staying out right now, he didn't lap anybody besides Tyrone and Robbie Fletcher, which were already a lap down. So even if the caution would come out now, it really doesn't affect anything. He's still gonna have to come down the pit road and give up that track position. So I'm surprised that Don is willing to stick it out and run those extra laps instead of just kind of coming down with everybody.
Yeah, Don's always been known to try something different, though. We've seen that in our first couple races, right? And I thought maybe it was because he locked himself into the playoffs with that big win at Mid-Ohio, but he's still trying to roll the dice and see what he can do here in the playoffs with a little bit of a different strategy than everyone else.
Yeah, definitely. As you see, right now it looks like Kyle has a pretty big gap to Sean right now. I don't know if Sean had a worse time in the pits than Kyle did, but Kyle has almost a
Looks like about a 9 second lead, over his brother.
And they both pitted at the same time, and they weren't that far apart going into the pit. So I wonder if maybe Sean slid in his box, or maybe just had a poor exit. Interesting to see.
Yeah, it's definitely definitely a big gap, a lot bigger than it was when they went in. But I guess we'll just let it play out and see how it plays out. But Don is out there still in front of Kyle, but as you can see, the lap time differences are anywhere from 2.2 to the slowest one. The smallest difference was 1 3/10. So these new tires are worth every penny once you get them on the car, and the speed it brings you is definitely a lot. So he's Don's in front of him by 23 seconds, but it's not gonna help him in the long run, because like we said before, without a caution, I think this strategy isn't really something that works out in the long run for these guys.
Yeah, definitely. You saw Kyle already got past Larry Garnes on those fresher tires, and you see Sean Purcell is getting tracked down by David Hare right now, only half a second behind them. And I guess we'll see how much one lap will be. Looks like Hare is, catching them pretty fast, and that just shows how much this tire wear is. Just one lap slows you down that much.
Yeah, it still looks like Sean's struggling a little with the handling of the race car, which might be playing into Dave's hands. But for the most part here, the last few laps, the number 15 machine has been, I want to say substantially, at least 3/10, 6/10, 7/10 faster each lap than the 04 Pepsi Cherry machine. So looks like Dave's going to be able to track him down and get by him, and then it's just a matter of what he can do to track down Kyle, who is 9, almost 10 seconds in front of them right now.
Yeah, definitely.
As we ride on board with the 15 Dave Hare out of Charlotte, North Carolina, as they come out of turn 4 and onto the front straightaway, as he continues to ride behind the 04, looking to be able to find some ground and make some room up, make a spot and make a move here at Indy. It's obviously tougher than it looks. The track isn't very wide, and but it's fast, and there's walls on either side. So any kind of mistake will more than likely end up putting you into some kind of concrete barrier or a safer barrier. So it's a little tough, and at the speeds upwards of 175, 180, 185 miles an hour at the end of the straightaway, when you got to kind of get on the brakes and get that car slowed down and turned in, it's definitely a fine line trying to make a pass. As we can see with riding on board Dave's definitely trying to get to the bottom right away on corner exit, and it looks like Sean is kind of taking a little higher entry, but trying to drive it down to the white line on exit to kind of slow down the 15 car. So two different lines, and it's interesting to watch them play out for sure here as we work our way through the middle part of this race. Looks like we got about 26 laps to go, so obviously well past the halfway point, but just as we say that, Dave Hare looks to make a move on the power move to the inside of the 04. Kind of blinks out there, but there he is back on track, and doesn't make it stick, but he had the right idea, and he's just letting Sean, he's saying, hey Sean, don't forget about the old 15 car. I'm right here, buddy.
Yeah, what I like what Sean's doing right now is, he's taking that middle lane, he's dropping down. What he's doing is on that exit, it's just taking all that air off of Hare's nose and making that car really tight on exit, which kind of makes Hare have to lift a little bit more out of the gas. As you saw it out of the exit of there, he really had to get out of it and lost a little bit of time to Sean, but definitely with those fresher tires, I mean, it's he's going to slowly catch up and get past Sean. I mean, the tires are just that more important here that no matter how faster maybe the car is, the tires are just that important.
Yeah, for sure. The lap times have kind of flattened out over the last two laps, back down to very similar lap times, but it's not deterring Dave any from trying to drive it down in there on entry to get a good run on on the old 04 car, but so far he hasn't been able to stick it. But as I say that, he tries to get the fender down beside him as they come down the front straightaway, and both cars a little bit loose off the corner, which definitely makes them a handful for sure. But it looks like Dave might have an advantage going into turn 1 as he's door-to-door with the 04 car, and that's the furthest up he's been, so it looks like he's going to be able to get by. But can he slide up in front? Nope, not quite yet, but he's got another chance through turn number 2 and onto the back straightaway, and it looks like he gets it done, but Kyle tries to turn it back underneath, but so that doesn't work, and Dave Hara moves into 3rd spot on the track, but Sean isn't going anywhere, and he makes a dive move to the inside, and we'll see if he's able to run the bottom here through turns 3 and 4 and get a better run on Dave as they're side by side down the short straight.
Yeah, I did some investigating, and I was just curious of how Kyle got a 10-second gap, not only on his brother Sean, but like on Hera and Lorfano. And I thought maybe there was a chance that he took 2 tires, but I went back and looked at his pit stop, and he in fact did take 4. So I don't know, like he must have had like the best pit stop of the season, because there's probably a slim chance that Sean, David, Hera, and Lorfano had a mistake all on the same pit stop.
Yeah, so let's take a look here. So pit stop times. Looks like Kyle had about a 14.9, and his brother and obviously Dave's were definitely slower. And then if we look at total pit lane time, again 3 seconds difference between at least Kyle and his brother Sean, and a little bit more between Kyle and David. So it looks like getting on and off pit road, like we mentioned earlier, might be a key to this for sure, right? And that's what seems to be happening. So he's definitely used it to his advantage, and now he's back out front by almost 12 seconds over these guys battling for second and third.
As you saw Don Manning make his way down to the pits while we're watching that battle with Sean Purcell and David Hara. He's going to land in 5th place right now. As you see, Sean Purcell actually got around David Hara again, and looks like he's actually pulled away a little bit. It looks like maybe Hara decided to back it off, maybe save some tire, and maybe get a better shot at him later in the run.
Yeah, that's for sure. Obviously, Larry's going to be faster than both of these guys as he's looking to get by them. Obviously, Larry's a lap down, stayed out again quite a while longer than these guys, almost 10 laps longer. So he's going to have 10 lap quicker tires. So it shouldn't be hard to make quick work of them, I don't think. But I guess we'll see what comes of that. But it's still Kyle Purcell out front, leading over Sean Purcell. Dave Hara, Dave Lorfano, and Don Manning have been pretty much a pretty steady top 5 throughout the entire race to this point. So we'll see how it plays out. But more pit stops are probably coming up, not very long from now. So we'll, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take our third commercial break of the race, and we'll be. As I say that, maybe we'll stay right here because it looks like Dave Hara is heading down pit road for some fresh tires.
Yeah, definitely looks like David's trying to short pit everybody, and now he's going to, definitely be the longest. He's going to have to use these tires up the longest. 20 laps from what I've been told and what seems like Nathan has done in the sim work, definitely has enough fuel to make it. So definitely a bold strategy right now to get the short pit, even Kyle, and see if he can make up that time he needs to.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting strategy choice, but when you're that far behind the leader, you got to do something different, right? You can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. But so for now, Dave Hara comes in and pits, and he's going to come back out. He's going to be at least a lap down, but he shouldn't have any problems getting back on the lead lap because, again, his tires will be much quicker than 15 laps newer than Kyle's. So we'll see how this plays out if it's going to play into Dave's hands and make him quicker. But let's take that quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after this to bring you home to the finish.
Back to more racing action right after this. Looking for a safe, effective cleaning system? Look no further. G-Tech Evolutionary Cleaners and Degreasers, certified by the EPA as a safer choice product. G-Tech can be used quickly and safely to remove soils and stains from most surfaces. Give them a call at 770-967-6988 or visit them on the web at buyGtech.com. G-Tech, 5346 BBS Way, Brazelton, Georgia. G-Tech, your one stop for professional, eco-friendly cleaning products. For tailgating activities or just plain backyard fun, look no further than Holio. Made to order cornhole bags and boards. No order is too large or too small. You can choose unfinished or finished with stain and polyurethane, and finished with a vinyl design or your company branding. Don't wait for the season to be over. Contact Holio on Facebook. Holio, made to order cornhole bags and boards. Now back to trackside action with the ORR Lawn Care Truck Racing Series of the All-American Racing League.
This would really give Don a lot of track position with Sean having to pit and like we're already in the pits. So
And it looks like the 04 himself is jumping down pit road, so that means all of our leaders who are running in the top four have come down pit road, turning the lead back over to, I believe, Don Manning in the 92. Is the only him and Larry Garnes are the only two not to pit, but unfortunately Larry Garnes lost a lap on the last cycle, so he's unfortunately not going to be in contention here towards the end. But pit strategy running long obviously didn't work out for him, and we'll see how it turns out for Don Manning, who has run the same strategy, but he's been able to keep the car on the lead lap both times, so that's definitely helpful. Keeping it on the lead lap, but right now he still has to pit, and Kyle's only 10 seconds behind him, and gaining by half a second, at least a lap on him.
as you saw, Kyle passes Billy Sean while Sean was sitting in the pits getting his fresh tires and fuel. So definitely Kyle is most definitely going to come out up here with the lead after everybody decides to come down and pit.
Just taking a look here at the last time that everyone was in pit road. So it looks like the fastest pit stop went to Dave Lurfano with 11.33 seconds, which makes me think he only took 2 tires, because Kyle was a 14.78, Dave Hara was a 15.32, and Sean Purcell was 15.05 on the pit stop. So definitely being that 2, 3, 4 seconds quicker makes me think that Dave only took 2. So definitely a strategy change there, and we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully it's helped him close the gap, but it's also cycled him out in front of Sean. Sean's dropped all the way back to 4th in those guys who were all running up front. So after what I think will be Don's final pit stop, it should shake out as Kyle Purcell leading by about 10 seconds over Dave, who's about 7 seconds in front of Dave Lurfano, who's got Sean Purcell knocking on his rear bumper. So we'll see if the two-tire strategy is helpful by any means, but yeah, we'll see how this plays out with the different pit strategies. Everyone trying to do something different.
Yeah, it's definitely a gamble taking 2 tires, but you are saving about 4 seconds on pit road, so definitely a gamble to see if maybe you can keep Sean behind him, and if he can, I think that's a net gain for him. Getting that one spot.
But I think as we say that, it looks like Sean has got him by him. So not ideal for Lurfano. Obviously, the 2-tire stop, maybe not the best. But again, like we said with Dave Hara, being so far back and so far out of it, you got to try something different to try to capitalize on something that's different than everyone else to try to gain some track position.
Yeah, I definitely agree that you got to try something different to try to at least put yourself in a spot to gain a couple spots, because Kyle Purcell has had the perfect race, and had gotten out to this 10-second lead on the rest of these top 4. So I have to try something to at least get a spot or 2. So I can definitely respect it. I'm surprised that Don Manning has not pitted yet. I can't imagine that he saved enough to make it, but I guess we'll see. But also, Kyle Purcell's got it down to already a little under 7 seconds to Don. So even if Don can make it, I don't think he's going to be able to outpace Kyle to the end of the race.
Yeah, I think Don's going to be pretty close. Might be working this 2-stop strategy because he pitted on lap 47. So if we add roughly 22 laps to that, which is what we kind of came up with from a few sources, that's 69 laps of a 70-lap race. So it's going to be close. He might be able to make it, but with Kyle closing by 8, 7, 9 tenths a second the last handful of laps, and 11 laps left. 9 tenths a second a lap. It's the math doesn't work out unless Don is going to drive his car like a bulldozer and block every lane possible. But I think Kyle's going to run him down here. But Don's pit strategy may actually play out and secure him a podium, I guess, is what he's hoping for. As he's 18 seconds ahead of Dave, who is in 3rd place. So we'll see how it is. And Dave's only running about half a second, 3/4 of a second quicker than Don is. So that's not enough speed to close 18 seconds down. But Kyle for sure has the speed to close down the what is about 5.5 seconds now between him and Don.
Definitely. I didn't think we could make it on 2 stops. I never really, I thought maybe 21, 22, like 23 max was as long as you could go. So, Don, good with the strategy and good with the fuel calculations. So, I'm rooting for him to, be able to stick out there. But I think Kyle just has a little bit too much pace to stay in front of him.
Yeah, he's definitely got the pace, and I think Don's going to be in trouble sooner rather than later. But It gives us something to talk about, and he's putting up a valiant effort trying to stay out in front. But as you can see, almost a second a lap quicker. The 16 Pontiac, the 16 Toyota is over the 92 Ford with 9 laps to go and 4 3/4 seconds difference. So just a matter of time now, I think, unless all of a sudden the tires really fall off of the old 16 car. But I don't foresee that happening.
I definitely don't either, and I don't also see a mistake coming from that 16 Supra. He's hasn't made one mistake all day. He saved his tires pretty well, and unfortunately for Don, I think he's gonna get him probably with five or 4 to go. But definitely, I mean, if Don has saved enough, is definitely gonna most likely get a podium out of this. So, podium isn't anything to laugh about. So.
That's for sure, especially with even though we have 8 cars, I think it's fair to say that probably 6 or 7 of them, or even 8 of them, could win on any given night here in this series. And obviously, Kyle and his brother have been kind of the class of the field through the first 8 races, with I think combining for 5 or 6 wins between the two of them. Don picking up 1, and a couple other drivers who aren't able to join us. Cam Harris and then Rodney picked up the opening win in the series. But it's going to make for an interesting playoff run with 5-6 good guys that are always in contention every race, and trying to see who the best car is at the end of it all.
Yeah, definitely. This series, even though it's small, definitely one of the more competitive series in the AARL league. You see usually like the top 5 cars are kind of always flipped around, when it comes to competing for wins. Like we said before, Don's picked up a win at Mid-Ohio, and then the Purcell brothers, won a lot of races based off like the fuel strategy and stuff like that. And but definitely Hera and Lorfano and Larry Garnes have also been up there notoriously trying to compete for these wins.
For sure, as we come across the line to complete lap number 63, working on 64, 6 laps to go in the books, and Don Manning is holding on to a slim 2.8 and closing second lead over the 16 of Kyle Purcell. Behind him in third is Dave Hera, who's about 16 and a half seconds back, and then it's almost 19 and a half, 20 seconds to Sean Purcell in fourth, and Dave Lorfano, after his 2-tire pit stop, is about 25 seconds off the pace of the leader. So obviously not a winning strategy, but like we said before, something you got to try something different to get by these guys, and it just didn't work out tonight for Dave, but he should end up 5th or 6th at the worst. So obviously still a good night for him. Obviously won't be too happy because he didn't finish on the podium or get the win, but nothing to be too disappointed about at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, top 4, top 5 is definitely going to still get you a solid points day. I believe I think he led a lap through the green flag pit stops. Maybe not. I could be mistaken, but still 4th place is most likely going to be a solid points day, and can hopefully help him propel into the next round of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's top 4 move on after the first 4 races of the playoff. A total of 8 races in the playoffs, with the championship round being the last 4, with 4 cars going at it over those 4 events. But let's worry about right now, and let's see if we can this 16 car can track down this 92 car. Like I said, catching him is one thing, passing him is another, but he's definitely closing the gap. He's got down under 2 seconds, but he's definitely not gaining as fast now as he was a handful of laps ago. That time he was 4/10 quicker, so still gaining ground, but definitely going to be closer at the end than I think you and I expected.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm excited to see if Cal can get to Don, to see what Don's gonna do, because I know Don. I've known him for a couple of years. He's not gonna pull over and let Sean just have it. I mean, let Cal have it just because he's got fresher tires. He's definitely going to try to battle Kyle for this and try to win this as much as he can.
That's for sure. And an important factor here in at least this Holio Cornhole Board Series is a win in this round does automatically move you to the next round. That's a little bit different than the Cup Series. And I'm not 100% sure about the Truck Series, but that time by, I would call that a dead heat. 56-33 for Don and 56-32 for Kyle. So didn't gain any ground on them that time. There's 3 laps remaining. And as we progress further and further through this, it's looking more like Don may be able to hang on to this thing if he's got enough fuel.
Yeah, definitely. I saw Don on these straights actually, like going to the inside, trying to not give Kyle any draft. I saw that on the front stretch. He was all the way down towards the bottom, trying to give as much disadvantage to Kyle. Kind of have to make Kyle pedal this thing around the corners instead of draft up behind Don.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to break that draft and not give that second place car any advantage. But as they come across the line this time, the gap is about 1.4 seconds, and Sean was almost 4 tenths quicker than them that time. But 4 tenths times 2 is not fast enough to get to the lead, especially if you got to pass the guy who's in the lead. So here we go. 2 laps to go, almost 1.5 as they head down the back straightaway. 1.2 second lead. Let's see how this plays out. We could have one hell of a finish on our hands.
You love to see this different strategy call from Don. When we first saw Kyle come out and he was catching him really quick, we never really even gave Don a shot at this, and it's really cool to see that Don is gonna. Oh, Kyle is so loose out of 4 right there. That Don still even has a shot. I mean, Sean was within a second, and I think Don's going to give this whatever he has. Even if he runs out of fuel right now, I think it's go time.
So half a second quicker Kyle was than Don, but it's 8 tenths of a second difference in distance from first to second. And they head through turn number 2 and onto the long back straightaway for the final time from Indianapolis. Don Manning looking to hold on to this win. And what will be, I guess, I would call it an upset after doing a 2-stop strategy and jumping back into the lead when everyone had to make their 3rd pit stop as they head into turn number 3 and 4. Why don't you, Christian, give us the call to the finish line?
Yeah, it's definitely not over yet. You see Kyle right there on the back end, and that draft is going to help Kyle so much. And with those new tires, it's going to be a drag race to the finish, I think. We'll see who can get it. And I think Don's going to get it. I don't think Kyle's going to get there in time. And Don Manning is going to win at the Brickyard. What a finish.
Don Manning wins it by 1 tenths of thousandths of a second. I don't know. 0.08 is what he won by. 0.076 is the official finish. And Don Manning, like I said, I think that's an upset. With the way the pit strategy played out and Don only pitting twice, that's not something you or I expected, and I'll be the first one to tell Don that we did not expect that to work for him. But look at that. Don Manning collects the victory.
What a win for Don, Don's had a lot of tough breaks when it comes to the pit strategy and not going his way. And I love seeing this as, I'm a teammate of Don for Notebooks Motorsports, so you love to see another win for Peter. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here in the broadcast booth with us tonight, but we know when Peter's going to find out that, Don got this win, he's going to be super excited. I'm super excited for Don, what a good win for him.
And it looks like he's still got lots of fuel left, so not even a fuel issue at the end. But as much as we're happy for Don, let's take a second. We're going to interview the 2nd and 3rd place drivers here. We're going to see who we can pull into the booth. So just give me 1 second. We'll get Dave Hara down here in the booth with us. Hey, Dave, it's Nathan and Christian up in the commentary booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys. How you doing?
Good, Dave. Good, Dave. A good run for you. Obviously, a 3rd place, first time on the podium, I believe, this year in the Cornhole Series. And how did you like racing here at Indy tonight?
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun here tonight in the blue gray plastic fabrication. Autism Speaks Hillbilly Motorsports Chevrolet. It was a lot of fun. Racing, being competitive, getting to race, with the Purcell brothers are always fast, and I'll tell you, Sean was probably the hardest guy on the track to pass tonight. We battled there a lot, trying to get around them, lost a lot of time, just trying to get around them, and wore the tires out there late in the run. But no, it was a lot of fun. Kyle picked it up there at the end and was able to hold out. So they pitted early, pitted earlier than me early on in the first two runs, and I was able to run them back down. But then on this last run, I decided I would go ahead and force them into a long run scenario by pitting with 20 to go, and I was hoping that was going to help me make up that gap that I had lost to Kyle the run before, but no good there. So we brought home P3. Congratulations to Don Manning on that strategy call. That was awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I saw you, had a really fast car, and I don't know what Kyle did on that second pit stop to get that much of a gap, but if I feel like if you and Kyle kind of were close to each other, you definitely could have given a run at that win.
Yeah, that second pit stop. Actually, it was the very first pit stop. The guys gapped me there a lot because I slid through I was too far left. Had to back up and pull to the right a little bit to start the pit stop. So I lost a lot on that first one and was able to get it back. And I thought, well, I can still run a lap or two after they pit for that second run. And I was still able to run them back down, except for I think Kyle got a good bit out there. And then that last pit stop, I'm not sure what he did, but that last 20 laps he ran really good.
All right, Dave, thanks for chatting with us. Anyone else you want to thank that you haven't thanked already for bringing you out here?
Yeah, again, Blue Gray Plastic Fabrication. They're on my Cup car that I run in Truckers Feed America series. I'd like to thank Holio Cornhole bags and boards, or boards and bags, however we do that, for the series sponsor. My teammates, as always. And I'd also like to thank you guys in the booth for putting this on Thursday.
No problem. Thanks, Dave. And we'll see you up in the booth on Sunday when the trucks take to the smaller Indy over at IRP.
Yeah, 10-4 guys. We'll see you then.
Okay, we're going to grab Kyle and bring him in here to the booth. I'm sure he's not going to be the happiest camper, but can't be too upset with the second place on your birthday. Hey, Kyle, it's Nathan and Christian up in the booth. First off, happy birthday. Second off, tell us how frustrating it is to lose by that much, or that little, I guess.
It's honestly not as frustrating as you'd think, because I saw Manning had like a 20-second lead or something when I came out of the pits, and there was only, like 18 to go. And I was like, oh, there's no chance. And then I started looking at the lap times. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to get kind of close, but he's probably just saving, and then he'll just take off again. And I think we both just drove our wheels off, and well, it came down to one lap, one more corner, and I had him. So my tires were working better for me, at least the way that I was able to handle them. And one more corner, I would have had him. So frustrating in that regard, but a track I haven't had a ton of success at, and good to have two differing strategies come to a matter of one car length at the end. It was just a lot of fun to try and run him down,
Yeah, you guys definitely put on a show at home for us. Yeah, it was definitely interesting watching you try to catch him. Me, and we're gonna tell Don this especially. Me and Nathan up here definitely thought this was yours to lose, because we knew that Don didn't pit at all. He stretched it out and did a two pit stop strat, and knew that he was on old tires and was potentially having to save fuel. But you can't complain about a second place finish.
No, not at all. And I mean, I don't know if you got in cars with anyone tonight, but I feel like everybody was slinging it sideways in the corners and just praying.
Yeah, we did ride in car a couple times, and even some of the camera angles show you guys coming off the corner, and for the most part, most of the time, the back end was not behind the front end on corner exit. But I guess for a second place finish, obviously a good start to the playoff push. 7 more races to go, and you and your brother are hopefully can continue to dominate. But I guess the big story is on your birthday, you beat your brother, so that's a win.
Yeah, that's my first win, so I'm 1-1 against Sean on our birthday. You know, the first one was 24 years ago, but...
All right, Kyle, thank you. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Just a shout out to Assault, putting me in the car, Bandmade, keeping me focused for the most part on those long straightaways, and my World of Warships clan ARP for letting me come race and ditch them for a couple hours, and now I just got to go over and help them out with some clan battles at the end of the night here.
All right, good luck with the clan battles, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, now we're going to bring your winner, Don Manning, in, and I'm sure Don is going to be one happy racer. Hey, Don, it's Christian and Nathan up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, I got you guys.
Don, I just got to say, Christian and I will be the first ones to tell you, we did not bet on you after that last set of pit stops they made. We thought for sure that Kyle was going to eat you up and spit you out like last night's dinner, but you proved us wrong, and we'll take it, and congratulations on the big win here in race number 1 of the playoffs.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, we were talking about before he came on that, you know, both strategies were within about 300 feet of being right on that, and you know, it's just the timing on that. I was worried. Pretty much the only chance I had was for him to push his tires enough where I could kind of leg it out a little bit, and that's where we went through. But that was nerve-wracking fun. Had to use my brain, and yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a lot of fun. Just you know, being out there and just see Kyle, you know, closing on that relative, and you know, knowing that you most likely had it about exiting turn 4. But yeah, as a teammate, so proud of you, Don, and I know since Peter can't be here, he'll be super excited for this win for you and all that. So congrats, and you know, like we said, I definitely had you crossed out, but you proved me wrong, like you have several other times through our racing careers, and congrats.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I was just trying to, like I said, just working for time. Had it been one more lap, he would have passed me, and I would have run out of gas. So it was, you know, just in time and all that, and it worked out. I was pushing it right when we restarted, and I got rear-ended. One of the guys hit me, and he was like, "Sorry," and I was like, "I'm just kind of lifting and coasting, trying to get gas." I kind of figured out, it's like, I might be able to make it on 2, and then, but Kyle timed it perfectly with the tire wear and everything. Like I said, had it been one more corner, or he could have sent it in turn 4 and probably wrecked us both out. But yeah, that was good. Hopefully, it was entertaining watching the different strategies going there.
It sure was. Anyone you want to thank for getting you to victory lane here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
Hey, as always, thanks to Noblex Motorsports for putting this together, and Peter for starting the team up and taking me on, and the teammates, and for Holio for sponsoring the series. And yeah, it's been fun. This was everybody was talking about in the background that for a track that really doesn't have good racings, everybody had a good time. That it was both challenging from the driving and kind of challenged your brain too about the strategy.
All right, thanks very much, Don. We'll let you go so you can enjoy the win, and I'm sure we'll see you out on the track Sunday with the Truck Series at IRP.
Yep, looking forward to that. IRP is a fun track, so it'll be good. You guys have a good night. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. All right, Christian, you want to take us through our final rundown of the results? Okay, maybe not.
I think we got you again, Nathan.
Oh, are you back? Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you want to take us through the results?
Instead of Don.
Oh, that's probably what I did. I don't know. So Don Manning ends up winning the race on a fuel strategy call by 0.075 seconds. And then we have over Kyle Purcell in the 16, Dave Hara in the 15, Sean Purcell in the 04, Dave Lerfano round out the top 5 in the 8. Larry Garnes, Tyron Yo, and Robbie Fletcher round out 6, 7, and 8. And Christian Delgado credited with a 9th place finish after pushing the wrong button for the second week in a row.
Yeah, for sure. Delgado getting a lot of easy top 10s, you know.
Well, so you
kind
got
of jealous of that. So,
any final thoughts before we say goodnight to the viewing public?
yeah, I mean, like again, I hope these drivers put on a good show at home for you guys. You know, probably some of the most intense last couple laps we've had in this series with those differing pit strategies. With Purcell getting so close to Don. I mean, inches away from getting that win. So, like I said before, hopefully they put on a good show for you guys at home, and hopefully we can do the same on Sunday in the Orlon Care Truck Series at IRP.
Sounds good, Christian. We'll see you then, and for everyone watching at home, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next Thursday back on our broadcast. And don't forget, like Christian mentioned, Saturday the Truck Series is at IRP, and then the Cup Cars next Tuesday come to the big 2.5 mile Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So that's all from us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Back to more racing action right after this. This race brought to you in part by Johnny Arnson Designs. Fine jewelry creations for 3 generations. Appointments are recommended. You can call 517-669-1944. Once again, that's 517-669-1944. John E. Arnson Designs, 209 South Bridge Street, DeWitt, Michigan. John E. Arnson, creating and designing unique jewelry since 1957.
Is your vehicle looking a little tired? It's Resurrection Detail to the rescue. No job too large or small, Resurrection Detail is ready to put your vehicle back in the spotlight. Take advantage of Resurrection Detail's mobile service and get a service call done on your time. Call 540-894-6411 for estimates and appointments, or simply direct message them on Facebook. Resurrection Detail, bring your vehicle back from the dead.
Now back to trackside action with the ORR Lawn Care Truck Racing Series of the All-American Racing League.